Hey all, so in this video I want to take a look at colors on the VT132. It extends the VT100 capability by adding color, which is a really nice feature. So let's take a look at what the system can do here. And the first thing, if you haven't looked at the setup video previously, take a peek at it. We're going to take a quick peek at setup here around color. So we're in setup. I'm going to move to palette control. Now on this screen, you can see across the bottom the current active palette. So that is the deck palette. You can change the palette to a Vga palette, hitting 6. And you'll see the colors down there shift. Yellow will become kind of that orange-brown. Colors to the left shift around. The blue becomes lighter. So you can really pick the palette you want here for what you're doing. So if, say, you were going to do some BBS work on the built-in Wi-Fi modem on the VT132, you might want to go in here and hit 2 to change the PC, the font, PC code page 437, and set yourself to the Vga palette. And that way, if when you're looking at BBSs and doing that kind of stuff, you would get proper ANSI graphics and the proper colors like the BBS would want to display, which is really pretty cool. Apparently, I have a pop-up here. Oh, good. The video capture didn't capture it. That's really nice. Let me get rid of this pop-up. That's irritating there. So, there it is in the setup. So let's go ahead and change this back to the ANSI palette for now. So let's see. That is option 6. Can't see here with my glasses off. And we're back to the ANSI palette. I'll hit Alt Print Screen to get back out. So one of the programs I've written is a call bar generator, so it produces color bars on the screen. You've seen this before, so let's go ahead and run this, and we'll just produce the set of color bars. So there is the deck palette, the ANSI palette. I guess it's really either one. Across the top, we have the normal colors, and across the bottom, we have the bright colors. Let me go ahead and remove myself so you can actually see the full palette out there. So we've got black to white across the top and black to white across the bottom with the bright attribute set. So black with the bright attribute set becomes gray. This looks like a gray, although when you're working on the terminal, this is the default text color that I've got set. It looks like a white. And then, of course, there's bright white, and just what it shows here. So let's take a look at some of these colors on the screen. I'm trying to remember the program I've got to do this. Looking here, color, font. It's not font. What is the program? Sorry, I should have prepped ahead of time. Color. It's right there. Reminder here that I am using a capture device for the VGA output of the VT132, and so there's little bits of lag here as I type. Ignore that lag. That's actually the capture hardware coming over USB to my computer. The actual VT132 is responding in real time to the keystrokes here. So if you can hear the key click in the background versus the screen, that's just an artifact of the video capture device. So what we have here is a little program to demonstrate color. Again, this was just written in C. It uses standard escape sequences. And this shows black on black. So we have black text on a black background here, thus you can't see anything. But if we bold that text, so bold black becomes this gray, we get, this would be bold text on black. Now keep in mind that the VT100 doesn't implement all of these attributes. There's additional ones here. Like italic, I don't remember which ones are VT100 specific and which aren't, but this extends the VT100 set of attributes to add a number of others. Let's just talk through what they are. If we do a reset of attributes, up here on this palette, this is what we get. If we set bold, this line here represents what we get with bold, dim, italics, underline, blinking text. This row is an undefined. I should actually remove it from the program. I keep forgetting to do it. Reverse video, and then hidden. So hidden text could be used for like inputting a password off of the, from the keyboard. So you wouldn't actually see the text on the screen. So why does this palette look the way it does? As we talked about, this is bold. black, becomes this gray. That's just how it's implemented. So, of course, we have black text on a black background, but the background is set to bright. So that's what the BRT here is. While there's a typo in the program, that should have been plus bright, but the BRT means that that's the bright attribute set for the text. So in this case, background is set to bright. That becomes this gray with black text on top. Foreground bright, background normal gives us this here. And you can actually see comparing here the bold versus the bold here. The bold has thicker characters, it's more bold. And then finally the foreground bright, the background bright, and you would expect those to be the same. But let's move into where there's some actual color here. So there's red on black. You know, we get that gray, just as we explained. Green screen. You know, that's a very usable green screen color if you wanted it. Kind of an amber. It's definitely yellow. There it is again on a black background with various attributes set. Don't know if I actually said this before. These are attributes that you can set on each character cell. This bright that I've called BRT here is also an attribute that can be set on each character cell. No, that's actually set with the color. These are setting colors across the top. These are setting attributes across the bottom. And the combination of the attribute and the color setting is where this comes from. So let's see if we can get around something here that's actually kind of reasonable. This will go through every possible combination. There's a lot of them. 8 backgrounds, 8 foregrounds, bright and not bright. Ooh, that's obnoxious. That's not quite as bad. I'd like to get off this red background. Oh, that's obnoxious. The magenta on red, cyan on red, white on red. I'm a little happier with that green background. I'm going to jump through these as quick as I can. I don't remember, it's the next background blue. But anyhow, this little program, like I say, is walking us through. So there's white on green. This next step, we'll change the background. So really, I could run through all the color combinations here. That would be kind of boring and long. So let me kill this. I've written a little program called Cls Clear Screen. This resets the palette back to the default palette that you've got set on the VT132 and clears the screen. It's just another simple C program. So let's go back into setup here and do a little bit more with colors. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a dark blue background. So I'm going to move the cursor. I'm using the cursor keys on the keyboard, and I'm going to set that blue as my background. So I'll hit 8. And what you'll see down here is an example of what that looks like. So the background for that became black. And we now walk over to the white. By the way, this is beta 7 that I just installed this morning. It's added a couple of nice things like the display, you know, the character width and height there. I'm running 80 column by 25 line. And we're going to set the foreground text to that bright white. And then I'll get out here. I haven't saved that. And if I do a CLS, again, it'll clear the screen. And there it is. We've got the bright white on blue, very reminiscent of a lot of old school computers. You know, very nice. In setup here, if I did a Shift S, that would save that as the default. The next time I was powered up, I would get that color combination. So really colors here. I guess there's one more thing we can do here. Let's get back out of setup. Let's run call bar again. I think that's actually, okay, that actually worked. Although you can see that I still have the white on blue background down here. And let's change the Vga palette. So kind of get in your mind what these colors look like. It's red, green, yellow. And let's go into setup. And 5 to move to the next screen, 5 to move to the next screen. And let's toggle that to the VGA palette. So I'll hit 6 here. Let's toggle to the VGA palette. And you can see these colors are definitely different. Before we had yellow and bright yellow, now we have brown and yellow. We have red and orange. So the VGA palette kind of adds a few additional colors. We have a lighter gray here and a darker gray. So we could get a black, light gray, dark gray, white sequence if you wanted. For the blue, magenta, and cyan, it's just a brighter version of it. And the same for the green, but you basically get these two extra colors here, which is the orange and the brown, which is, kind of cool. This would make, as I said earlier, rendering like ANSI text on a BBS a little more true to what was envisioned there. So there's a couple more things to look at here with color. We've got a couple of VT animations. A VT animation is simply a text file that has the escape codes for the VT100 terminal embedded in it. You can just type it to the screen and see the little animation. So we'll start with the first one here. I'm just picking these two because they have some color in them. And I spelled it wrong. And to some of you, this may look familiar. So we can see there, the blue eyes, the bright yellow, and the dim yellow hair, etc. There looks like there is a mistake in this file down here in the text stream, which isn't uncommon. And there's one more here. That may look somewhat familiar. So this was a basic program I wrote to plot the Mandelbrot using VT100 escape sequences, and I just sent the output from it directly to a text file. And there it is. And if, you see the background here I'm sitting in front of, that is the same graphic. So some of the cool things you can do with color here demonstrated. So I think with that, we'll wrap this one up, and we'll talk soon.